Welcome to Discovering. It's bee time again. We'll take a look as a brand new beekeeper takes the first step by installing nearly 30,000 bees.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to shake some of these bees into that.
And Kristen spent the day fishing in the Ontonagon Lake Trout Classic. Then it's off to the Escanaba Airport as our veterans return home from the UP Honor Flight. Sit back and relax. It's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
$80 to 90% of the world's crops are pollinated by bees. They are the only insect that produces food eaten by humans, and they're responsible for about 30% of it. If you're thinking about becoming a beekeeper, you're going to need some bees. I was once again back with Bernie the beekeeper for a look at this first step of the process.
So what we're doing today is we're delivering bees. This is kind of the neatest part of beekeeping for me. I get pretty excited about it. New beekeepers get their first packages and install them, and it's pretty exciting stuff. And old beekeepers like myself are excited about introducing new bees into our apiaries, whether it's replacement or just expansion. Most people get packages, and thousands of packages are now flooding across the country, filling beehives. What a package is it's a box like this that's screened, and they shake a frame of bees, they put a cap on, take it into a building. In the building, they take that little cap off. Hang on tight. They have the queen already in a queen, what we call a queen cage, and she's all set to go in here. They slide this in and put a feeder can in. This can has 3 holes in, it's filled with sugar water, and they drop that in here, and that's good to transport them from California, Florida, or Georgia, the 3 main starting points, up here to the north. But now we're going to go install some bees just on the north side of Iron Mountain. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to install these 3-pound packages here. And as you can see, there's a few bees. There's 9,500 bees per pound. So we got a couple here that are going to be going into the box. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put one in myself, and then I'll talk Rick through his. And so you'll get to see 2 go in. And it'll be kind of neat, him doing his very first one. When you're starting out with bees, it's kind of difficult because you're working with what they call foundation. This is a plastic formed foundation with a light spray of beeswax on it. And they have to then draw that out. In other words, they have to add wax to it that comes out of their abdomen. They take it and chew it and make it nice and soft, and then they build it out until it looks like this. Now this is fully drawn comb, and it's really the best for installation. If you can get a frame or 2 like this, it allows the queen to start laying eggs even quicker. And that's what you want. You know, as quick as you can, you want her to start laying that 2,000 eggs a day. And Northwoods Beekeepers, our club, when we help people, we swap a couple of frames like this for a couple of frames of foundation. These sell for about $10 a piece. Those sell for about $2 or $2.50. So it's a pretty good deal, and it's really neat for the beginning beekeeper. Okay, so what we've done is we've pulled out some frames out of the box to make room for the bees when we dump them in. We're going to take the queen and sandwich her between this frame and that frame, and then we'll set her gently down into a pile of bees, and then replace all the rest of the frames, close everything up, and put some sugar water on. The first thing we have to do is remove the feeder can. We'll take the queen out, who's in this cage. We'll shake her off good. So we're going to take this bottom cork out and put a marshmallow in there, and they'll eat through that marshmallow in a day or so, and they'll release her. And that'll make us sure that she's been acclimated to their hive. And while I'm not working with her, I'm going to put her in my pocket. A cold draft hurt her, so you don't want her to get chilled. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shake some of these bees into that, just the way they went in originally back in California. And this is a pretty easy process. You just literally shake them in. Put this in front of the box. We get the queen out. We pull it out and put your thumb over the bottom. And then we take small marshmallow and we stuff it in there. And they'll eat through that, and then that's releasing her. And what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich her in between these. We're going to take it right like this and actually press down. Whoops, a little more. We're going to press this down right into the foundation there, into the frame. And this one sandwiches. We'll turn this like that so it doesn't fall. And now we've made a sandwich out of this. And you had it screen pointed this way so we don't cut off her airflow. And then we gently put this down in here. Come on, ladies. Come on, you can do it. And we set it down gently. And then we replace all the frames one at a time. And we want her to be center when we're all done, or as close center as we can get. And that's for the heat, especially at this time of year. Now the reason they're so gentle is that they don't have a home to protect yet. As soon as she starts laying eggs, this will be their home. And intrusions may not be so welcomed. This is an Italian race of bees, and they're called gentle on the comb for a reason, because they're pretty easy to get along with. Now in a minute or two, all these bees on the outside, which aren't too many right now, are going to go racing in. Now we're going to feed these with syrup, and they'll come right up through the inner cover and they'll get that syrup. You turn it outside the hive, and you don't want it leaking in there. It can drown your bees. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple stuff. Come on, ladies. There you go. And you got to wait for these?
No, but I will.
The queens have pheromones, the bees have pheromones. Brood has it, and they can tell just by the smell whether there's a queen present or not, or brood present or not. She's in there, they can smell her, and they're going to head right in there. They'll start eating that marshmallows. Usually it's overnight. By tomorrow morning, that thing will be probably eaten out and she'll be on her way. And one more element, you have to go back in to take that box out in about 3 days. There's two reasons for that. One is that it's kind of held those two frames apart a little more than what we call bee space, and they'll put comb in there. And two is you want to make sure she got out and can get out and lay now. They know their own queen. If you were to take now and take her out and put another one in, they would not accept her. They would kill her. They don't like anything foreign in there. If a bee from another hive wants to come into this one, they're going to do battle at the door. They have guard beads sitting out there to make sure nobody's going to intrude. And when they're just starting out, these entrances are really reduced. There's just one little, what we call one bee space, so that they can come and go, because this is all new to them. So you reduce the entrances, and that stops what we call robbing. They'll rob from one hive to another in a heartbeat. And set on its side.
My wife and I both kind of was interested in the beekeeping aspect of it. We go through a lot of honey. We were buying a lot of it. So we thought, instead of having to purchase it, the best thing would be to have our own honey right here in our own property. And they say the closer to home you get it, the better it is for your health and everything. So we thought we would take a chance and give it a shot and see what type of fun we could have with the bees. And see if it was something that we really liked. The Northwoods Beekeeping Association has been a plus in our back pocket. They've been super about helping us get started. Bernie here has been kind of a special mentor as far as helping anybody new get started. There's several beekeepers right here close by my house that have offered to come over and help me step through every aspect of the beekeeping so that I didn't have to go into it blind, and kind of made me feel better about taking a chance and not making any mistakes on hurting the bees or myself or anything else. And it's really been a good experience so far, and today's been the first big step in getting them, and we'll see how it's going to go from there. We're really excited about raising them and seeing how it's going to work for us. So.
You'll feel the bees at the bottom. So that's our installation. We did 2 of them and it went real fast. Now Rick, like all beekeepers, or like a lot of beekeepers, are going to be going through his hives every 7 to 9 days. We're going to be inspecting them, making sure that the queen's got a nice laying pattern and that she's doing well. And it also, for beginning beekeepers, this is very important. First of all, they're going to learn a whole bunch. Second, they're going to get used to being around bees. Down the road, we're going to do that mite inspection. That'll probably be our next thing. And then we'll probably do a split and maybe at the same time make a nuke. Both of those elements require a big, strong hive that can support becoming 2 hives or 1.5. And so that's what we'll do on our next show.
So now we got them down. Hopefully we'll have some luck.
I think fish are camera shy. But fishing isn't only about reeling in the big one. It's about getting out on the water, fresh air, and enjoying the company of fellow fishermen and women. Since 2004, Greig's Taxidermy in Ontonagon has held the Lake Trout Classic fishing tournament in May.
We started the Lake Trout Classic in 2004. And we've been doing it ever since. And normally every year right now we earn over $4,000 for our local cancer association. A lot of the people have been here since day one, and a lot of the people just come for the camaraderie, but other people are real competitive. And so it's a really good thing for the community and the cancer association.
How many years have we been in this, Mike? Every year it's all of them, yeah. All of them. Every year that they've had it.
The first day of the tourney is the powder puff and pre-fish contests. The fine folks at Greig's hooked me up with a boat to film for the day, and to my pleasant surprise, it was the Applecamps from Ewan, who I've known for many years.
This is our tradition with John and Judy. We don't miss it. Sorry, kids. Make your birthdays a different weekend. This is our fishing weekend.
Dark and early, we headed east of the Ontonagon Harbor in search of lake trout. Powder Puff tournament rules allow 1 3-lady team per boat. Since I made up the 3-lady team, we threw out 9 lines.
The pole that he's moving right now is called a long line, and that's not hooked up to anything. It's just way out there on its own. The ski and the downriggers will bring the line deeper down. Otherwise, you'd have all lines out there way far out before they could get deep where you want them. So the function of the downrigger is to bring them down. He's probably got a downrigger down at that, yeah. One is at that, yeah. There's probably one there.
And we watched and we waited.
You'll know that there's a fish on the skis. You watch them and you see they're in a pattern right now. When there's a fish on, the little flag will go directly behind the boat. And then that means there's a fish on. You don't waste any time. You're going to go to that pole. You don't have to jerk it because this hook is already set. The other lines that are on downriggers directly in back of the boat, those lines you'll tell that when a fish is on there, it's going to pop and snap up. If it's a big fish, it's going to go do-do-do-do down. So you got to watch a change in action on the poles and on those skis. That's how you'll know. And when you're reeling, keep your tip up. Yes. If you have the tip of the pole straight out pointing at the fish, what will happen is the line will become too tight and it'll snap and you'll lose the fish. So you're not going to do that. Not on this team, Kristen.
I was ready to watch them reel in the big one. Off the back of Mike and Tony's Grady White, we had plenty of bait. We were marking fish.
We're in 33 feet of water, Mike, and we're graphing fish between 10 and 15.
But they just weren't hungry.
Oh, come on, you fish.
So we went out deeper, and we tried shallower waters. And we tried different lures.
What do you think, team? We want monkey puke.
57 Chevy. Yep.
And told big fish stories.
He was driving and the guys were fishing, and they would always tell us where to go and everything, and then Judy says, I'm going to go where the seagulls are, and that's where we caught the fish.
After 8 hours of fishing, I was frozen, maybe a little sunburned, but we didn't get completely skunked. Judy reeled in one small brown while pulling the planers in.
That's
Yay! Nice little brown.
yeah.
Other boats were a little luckier. Back at the harbor is where we got a chance to see some fish. Teams entered their 3 largest lake trout for total weight. Randy Kemppainen's team won the pre-fish contest with this monster of a lake trout.
Picked up one small salmon, and a few minutes later we seen the planer board disappear underwater and hooked into a nice one. Took us probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get the fish in the boat, and we didn't see it until it was 20 feet away from the boat. We seen it, we were kind of shocked, but we got it in, so we can't ask for a better day than that.
These 2 ladies fished the tournament for the very first time and won first place in the powder puff.
Well, it took us a few hours to maybe catch our first lake trout.
Yep.
And then it took us a few more hours to find the next
second lake trout.
to get a second lake trout. And then it took us another hour to get our third lake trout. So we spaced it out pretty well.
But the big winner of the day, the Ontonagon County Cancer Association.
The first year we did the Lake Trout Classic, I think we only earned about $500. And when I went to give the check to the person that was in charge of the Cancer Association, when I gave her the check, she cried. And we knew it was game on from that point on.
The Honor Flight Network is a non-profit organization created solely to honor America's veterans for all of their sacrifices. The Upper Peninsula Honor Flight is a local hub of the National Flight Network. The mission of this tour of honor is to fly Upper Peninsula World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C. to experience the memorials that stand in their honor. The UP Honor Flight has flown twice a year since its beginning in September of 2011. I was in Escanaba on May 22nd for their return home.
We had a fantastic day today in Washington, D.C. We had 77 veterans with us. 2 of them were World War II veterans, 22 were Korean, and the rest of them were Vietnam veterans. We went to the World War II Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, Korean Memorial, Vietnam Wall, Arlington Cemetery for the changing of the guard. We went over to the Air Force Memorial, Iwo Jima Memorial, where we had the Marine drill team come and do a presentation for us. The weather was fantastic, 76 degrees and just overcast. The veterans had a great day. They are so excited. They're just waiting to get off this plane for this storm to pass so we can unload and they can get home to their families.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.